Pastor Craig Beeker. Now you got to look at this. Where are you?
I'm 27 years old.
I know. This is when football was big to you, you know? Looks like you've got that going. This was a get up at Euligous. Don't worry about it. That's not how I children's time. I have no idea, but that must have been some youth thing. And you liked what the drink was that day. Green? Ah, there we go. Okay, there's a very special woman. And I just had to put this picture in. Happy Adoption Day, the rest of the family. What a great job this morning the Beeker kids did of joining in. Would you agree? And I saw your face. And Pastor, we couldn't go any further. You know, everybody talks about how important Bob was to the first 20 years, and he was. But just as Joyce said, you've been a blessing to us for this time. And we're here knowing that you have been a faithful servant and to continue to keep us grounded in God's blessing. You upset us every once in a while, which is healthy. And you nurture us with, and you're a living example of somebody who's not done. God continues to use you. And if you would, please come up, just say a couple words, and we want to thank you.
At 29, I would have gone that way. I just want to thank everybody for being here and for all the contributions you've made to our life together. I look around these tables and see how much of our lives we've shared together, and I want to thank the committee that's put this together. Wow. Jane and Gail, most of yours right here. Where's Gail at? Oh, okay. Jane and Gail, and I'm going to name names and forget somebody. Sandy and Sue, and it was a big group. Who was all in that group? Jill, Kathy, Sam's been thrown in part of this. It's just been a big group that's been part of putting this together. So we're grateful for them. So let's give a little applause. I've kind of already said it this morning, so I just want to thank everyone for being here, especially Joyce and the girls and your family for being here, and folks who come back. Pastor Bob was one of a kind, and I remember meeting with him. I had to meet with Pastor Bob. That was one of the requirements, but it had to be in stealth before I came. I remember meeting with him at Westlake Hospital in the dining room. I don't know how that would be considered stealth, but it was. And even from that first meeting, I just thought, what a unique human being, and what a gift, and what a heart for people. He remembered stuff. I remember going to funeral services with him. I would help him occasionally. I don't know why. I think he felt sorry for me. And I would go with it, and he would remember things about people that it was unbelievable. I mean, people would come up to him and they would say, "Oh, I met you at," and he would say, "Yes, I met you at," and then your cousin is so and so, and you guys have what for breakfast? And it really just, I mean, that generation, John Voss at the Presbyterian Church, I mean, they broke the mold on some of those guys, and we just really miss them. I was looking at the video. This is more than I planned to say. I should have kept the notes. Pastor Solberg and Pastor Ullman. I didn't know Pastor Keithy personally, but I knew who he was, of course. Pastor Wold. I don't really know Pastor Cooper either, but each in their own way stirring the waters of this congregation and blessing us, and we're just grateful for them and for their families. And I know Karis and I were friends, still are friends, but we used to be pretty tight when we first came here, and she used to say, "Dad just wants us to be invisible." And being a pastor and having a pastor's family, I know how that happens. Sometimes you feel like you're in the background, but you guys, your contribution to this congregation will touch it its whole life. And so we're grateful for that, for all the pastors of our congregation. It's hard to see that group and know that there's not a lot of them left. And Dr. Streeter, of course, is in his final stages of his life as well. And we're saying prayer for him today. remembering his contribution to the congregation. So we're too fast gone, and life moves quickly, and every moment's precious, and every person is precious. I was reading that I spent a lot of time in the council minutes, more time in Bob's council minutes than in our own council minutes from the 70s. And what was remarkable about it was it just seemed so much like what we were doing in our meetings, the reportings of things. Arnold was still doing the money. 1974, Bob Green was on the council. Just the people's names were all kind of similar in terms of who was involved in the life together. But then you would see how people would come through. And every month there was sort of a report about who had been transferred into the congregation. And the month that I had looked at, I meant to bring it with me and to read it. The Jerks, how do you say that name? They had transferred to Augustana Lutheran Church in St. Paul, and Joel Coletti had asked to have his membership removed. And it's just like what happens today, in and out of the life of our congregation. How many people, I started thinking about how many people come through a congregation in its life. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people have been touched by this congregation and moved through this congregation and moved on. It continues today. We continue to have people coming through the congregation and moving into the congregation. One of the exciting things is some of the new folks who are coming among us. Donya is here, and her husband Free couldn't be here, but Disa is here, and Abu is here a little early. Is Abu still here? She was waiting for her son Raz. So. And Salmon and all the folks who are coming into our congregation and making a difference in a new way and revitalizing us by their own story as it meets ours. So just so grateful for all the folks who come through the life of this congregation and for each one of you. Your church needs you. We continually, more recently, have a hard time finding folks to take spots on the council. Because it's leadership and it's time commitment. And one thing that we don't have is a lot of time in our lives, but your church needs you. So if we ask, we're not kidding, and we really just don't want a warm body. We need you. And the difference is what you're seeing in these pictures. Well, not those pictures. Although plenty of you held these guys in their life, and when they were tiny, tiny babies, many of you were moms and dads and aunts and uncles to them. And known their whole life, in many ways, you saved them. And, it's a remarkable gift that you've given to my family and to us. So I want to thank you. I want to thank our staff. We have great staff, and I really, you don't have to be a giant when you're surrounded by them. And I'm just really grateful for the service that they have provided. Eleanor's over here. Jim's somewhere. They go. Jim, Sam's over here. Lori, does everybody know Lori? Lori Scott? Then you have to stand up if I'm not going to give you the microphone. I will be killed on what I say. But we're just really grateful for all of your contributions. In some cases, more years than I have, and grateful for your leadership and the way in which you changed this church. And Sam, can't say enough about what you've done in terms of changing us programmatically, and Lori, her organization, and her thrift, and her speed on most things, even if she doesn't think so. Just such capable people around me. So I'm just so grateful to them. So anyway, I've talked long enough, and I always talk long enough. So thank you all. Terry, thank you for putting this up. Terry.
I'm good at that same feeling. Your kids have been parented by this family. They were there for it. And, there's that great song about cloud of witnesses. We got people waiting who've been saints in this church. And they've gone. But the handoff that you get, and you're going to be part of it at some point, you just know that down the line, we are one family, all children of God, and celebrate in that. And it's a gift.